There is something very true that must be stated about this. If you are in this situation and you are the receiver of a person trying to outsource their emotion or lust onto you, you have to realize that you're nothing special. You're just a placeholder of another person's misplaced desires. You're not actually who they want, you just have what they want. All right, we got story time. And this one's going to be pretty educational because I learned a lot from the situation or situations. I'm going to give you guys 2 stories. So I'll save the spicier one for last. But basically, this video is about kind of like how women act at work and how some of them actually, they have boyfriends, and I've ran in with a couple of them, and it's basically something like cheating. So let's look up the definition. Cheating: to break a promise made to someone, such as one's wife or husband, by having sex with someone else. So let's think about everything that comes before that. It starts off with meeting someone, then you flirt with them, then you get a little bit intimate with them, then you start to get playful, then you get even more flirty and a little bit physical, and then all of a sudden you guys are in this full-blown affair. But in all of those steps, generally one could argue that none of those behaviors are acceptable. If your boyfriend or girlfriend was right there with you, you wouldn't have even done the first step, more than likely, which is texting. But if you would have done maybe even texting, you definitely wouldn't have been flirting, and you wouldn't have been any type of intimate with this person. If you have respect for your lover, you would never do that. But this is what I'm explaining. So I'll give you guys the first scenario. I get to one of my last jobs, and the way my last job worked is it was kind of like everyone got recruited all at the same time or as the job went on. So there was a lot of new people coming in the office. I just so happened to meet this young girl there. I remember her looking kind of like at me, like, and you know me, people look at me, I'm like, okay, well, I mean, yeah, I am the way I look, but I don't really think much of it until it gets kind of intense. So I started to notice that she was kind of taking a liking towards me. It gets to the point where she's flirting all the time, we're joking back and forth. And me not having a girlfriend at the time, I was just playing along. I didn't really see much harm of it per se. I figured, this is just something you can do in the office. I don't mind bantering with women. That's totally fine. This is before I have some of the views I have now. But it got a little bit intense to where she's flirted even more further and kind of like initiating conversations more often than not, hitting me up on our instant messaging at work that we had that was an in-house messenger. So it got pretty obvious to where people were like, oh, okay, yeah, this girl likes you. And you my coworkers in my group will tell me. But come to find out, she had a boyfriend. And I got this feeling that she might have one because I might have heard her say something like a week before I asked her. But then I was like, hey, do you have a boyfriend? And she was like, yeah, I do. And then she said, why? In my mind, I was just so taken back. I was like, no reason. But this is the issue. If I would have knew she had a boyfriend, I would have never, ever flirted with her. I wouldn't have even really gotten close to her in any way. Even as a friend, I wouldn't even took it there. It was kind of really off-putting because I thought she was cool. I thought she was flirty. She likes me. It was pretty obvious. The fact still stood once I found out that she had a boyfriend. I was just really almost like insulted in a way. Because the way I think about it is you're with someone, and now that I know that we both know that you're in a relationship, why would you want to continue? Because she still continued after that. So I just decided that I'm not even going to talk to her anymore. Like, I'll just low-key ignore her. And if she pushes the issue, then I'll say, hey, look, you got a boyfriend, like, please leave me alone. That's low-key kind of gross and disrespectful. And that was the issue. Now we're going to get to the second scenario, which is a little bit different, but I'll still connect them in the same way. There was another woman who was a little bit more aggressive with it. She was at the same job as well. And she would tell me about how she having problems with her boyfriend, but I didn't really think much of it. You know what I'm saying? But what she would do constantly is she would try and neg me. She would try and like bother me or poke fun at me or annoy me. And she would do it in a way as to which everyone can see it, because to her, that's just how she flirted. I didn't necessarily understand it. But my friends would always tell me, hey, man, she likes you. This girl likes you, blah, 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 blah. It was pretty obvious. But the way I messed up, to be honest, I still kind of flirted back with her because I didn't like her or anything. I just liked bothering her. I liked picking on her. But to me, I knew she kind of wanted a little bit more than that. And to be honest, I kind of played with it. And it was wrong of me. But I didn't see anything of it because I didn't like her like that. She wasn't really attractive to me. The other girl was, for sure, but this one wasn't. So I made the mistake of kind of like, not necessarily egging her or leading her on, but just reciprocating whatever she pushed at me. I would just bounce it back in a joking way. But it got to the point where she just started to get a little bit more disrespectful, and she got promoted. Her jokes became a little bit more unbearable to the point where I tried to confront her on it, and she did something disrespectful by the way of like insinuating, like I asked her, hey, can we go outside and talk about this? And she kind of insinuated that, oh, ew, like no. So, and that was the end of the line for me. Turns out, I ended up talking to my manager about it because you're not going to embarrass me, because it got to the point where she was embarrassing me in front of other people. As the manager that she was kind of lording it over me and being a little bit disrespectful, making the work environment more hostile than I expected that she could make it. So I ended up talking to the manager. Other people felt the same way to my understanding in the office, and she ended up getting fired. So how did I know that they wanted to cheat on me with the other spouse? Because on both scenarios, the first one we'll get into, our relationship was very pre-dating. It was like flirting, joking, sexual innuendo, aggressive, challenging. It was everything it was supposed to be right before we would start dating. She even mentioned one time we got into, just joking and banter, and she admits that she likes me. She was a very flirty type chick, to where if I wanted to push the issue, me knowing the person I am with the level of charisma I have, it's not that hard for me to get what I want. Now, on the second scenario, I knew could get to cheating because she was asking me, hey, would you mind helping me out outside of work to do other things, like help me with my car? My boyfriend wouldn't do it. She would complain to me about her boyfriend and how he wasn't X and Y. These are the precursors to infidelity, and they're pretty clear to see if you just look out for them. You see how these relationships are that close to cheating? All it takes is a different person like me who might have 1% to 2% less empathy for the lover at home to do whatever he wants. That's all it really takes. Obviously, the other person who's deciding to initiate it, who's in the relationship, doing stuff behind the back of their lover at work or at the gym or with the real estate agent. But it's a very slippery and it's a very fine line between emotional cheating and cheating. In both scenarios, I'm trying to get to a point here. There's something called emotional cheating. So we'll look up the definition. Emotional cheating happens when you establish a close, intimate connection with someone who isn't your partner. You can generally tell emotional infidelity apart from simple friendships because your interactions often involve some sexual tension or romantic attraction. So in both scenarios, as I can attest and other coworkers around me would assure me, both of these women were into me. On the first end, I did the responsible thing. But on the second end, I think the reason why I kind of didn't really care that much is because she ended up breaking up with her boyfriend probably early on in our job. But the thing is, emotional cheating is something that goes on very, very often at work. And, it makes sense. You're in proximity with someone. Me being, a decent looking person, I'm pretty talkative and my personality kind of precedes me. So I can understand why a woman would take a liking to me. But I often notice in other times that I'm even going to get into in my past employment at other jobs, it's kind of like women will seek some sense of affection, intimacy, social interaction, flirting, vocal banter to create some type of tension. And oftentimes I would play into it, sometimes I wouldn't. In these cases, I ended up maturing out of it to understand this. This goes back to what I was saying about friendships. I explained in the past video, I'll link it here. I'll link it here. I think this is the direction. I'll link it here. The way that women oftentimes have emotions, they have so much, they tend to outsource men for that reason alone. For instance, in my scenarios, the women maybe had issues going on in their relationship, or they didn't respect their they didn't respect their lover enough. They would go and outsource a different type of a relationship that was verbal and social, but it was still intimate and romantic in the same vein, because the flirting, the tension, the attraction is there, but you don't have to tell anyone about it. You don't necessarily have to be accountable to the person at work. You don't have to tell your partner. You might even be able to tell them to get a pass. Be like, oh yeah, there's some guy I joke around with at work, to kind of like test the waters with your man to see if it's okay. But in all honesty, it's not okay. Because like I said, with the friendship stuff that women will do, they outsource their relationship to other men because they're not satisfied or fulfilled at home. Either the man is not meeting that need, or they're just so insecure, or they have issues themselves that they don't know how to hone it and be faithful to one man. So what they'll do is they'll seek validation from other men. And this is a big issue because we live in a day and age where it's very easy to get sexually involved with women. It's very easy to work up a scenario as to which a text can turn into talking, and talking can turn into something behind the back of the relationship to full-blown affair. So what can you do in the situations? And I'm going to map out 3 parties here. The first party is the person who's doing it. You have to understand, if you're doing this, or if you're even thinking about doing this, or if you catch yourself doing this, you have to cut it off. Any man at work or a frequent person you see at the gym, you have to get rid of that, because what you're doing in a way is you're kind of opening up your heart for another person, and you're allowing a level of lust and intent to fester in the direction of someone that's not someone you're with. And when you're doing that, you're not really cultivating a relationship with the person you decided you wanted to be with in the first place. What you're doing is you're effectively cheating. This isn't as bad as intercourse. This isn't as bad as kissing, but it is getting there. And every step you would admit is shameful if your lover found you doing something like this. So instead, focus on your relationship, and if it's not working out, talk about it and end it if you have to, but don't break people's hearts in this way, because this is stuff that really hurts other people, and this is stuff like betrayal that we're talking about. This is very shameful behavior. Now, if you are a person who is being flirted with at work or at the gym, and you find out that this person has a boyfriend, it is your responsibility to nip it if the other one doesn't. Because remember, there is something very true that must be stated about this. If you are in this situation and you are the receiver of a person trying to outsource their emotion or lust onto you, you have to realize that you're nothing special. You're just a placeholder of another person's misplaced desires. You're not actually who they want, you just have what they want. Meaning that it could just be another person with deltoids and trapezius muscles and a nice personality, and she will have latched onto him. Or someone who makes her feel good more than her boyfriend does at the time, or they're not doing so well. You're just a placeholder. You're nothing special. Why would you want to deal with people with this type of character? Don't you realize that if you continue onto this, it's going to have bad repercussions for your future? Not just in the way of her boyfriend might find out, or whatever you guys have going won't work out. More about there's a level of karmic justice, or reaping what you sow, that will come onto you if you do some things like this. That's what I believe. And for the third aspect of this, the person who's in the back, who doesn't even see it, right? The person who's in a relationship with this person, if you find out about something like this, you have to really consider distancing yourself for a time from this person, because this is on the verge of cheating. It's a couple of steps away. And if they're willing to do something like this to you, whatever emotion they claim they have for you, you have to really question it. Whether it's love or seriousness, they don't take you seriously. This is something that's highly disrespectful, and if a person respect themselves, they wouldn't be doing something like this. You have to really consider the fact that this relationship might be over, because there's no way that they, in any part of the relationship, should they be playing with betrayal in this manner. This is a very serious offense, not as serious as full-blown infidelity, but it is breaching that territory and it's getting towards it. You also have to think about maybe what you're doing for them is not fulfilling enough. And maybe what you're doing is enough on your own, but apparently it's not enough because this person needs to have you, and they need to have another person at work or at the gym or a best friend, all this stuff. This is emotional cheating, and it is very serious, and that's as serious as you should take it. Just like it's a step before cheating. Now let's take a step back and look at emotional cheating. Emotional cheating doesn't just happen at work. These are just scenarios that I was able to show you in my experiences. But this can happen in the gym. It can happen with someone you frequent at the gas station, with a cashier, with someone who is a real estate agent that you're doing business with. This can happen very, very quickly and very, very intimately, very fastly. These type of relationships can get very, very intimate very quick, because I'll tell you from experience. In those scenarios, especially the first one I mentioned, I could have easily escalated it if I wanted to, because some people are that much more prone to infidelity and betraying their lovers than others. Or it also depends on the level of charisma a man has, or the level of sexual appeal that the woman has. If you're aware of emotional cheating as a person in a relationship, you can understand one thing for sure. You really get to see how serious this person takes you. Because if they're ever entertaining something like this, this is non-negotiable. And this doesn't just go to coworkers and real estate agents that they're buddy-buddy with. This goes to best friends. You have to really consider these type of third-party relationships, because a lot of them have the potential to compromise what you have going on with your lover. And best friends, to me, I would say, are a disqualifier. Best friends of the opposite sex, they are a disqualifier. Having, a work husband or wife, disqualifier. None of this stuff is acceptable. If you're trying to have real love, you have to have real honesty. You have to have real faithfulness. You have to have real commitment. People have to respect each other, and they have to respect each other's position. They should not be in the position to embarrass another person's name or put someone's reputation at stake because it turns out that the person's cheating on another, and the family finds out, and the friends find out, and the friends who know each other find out. That is not a good situation you should ever want to put someone in, because it's hurtful, and everyone knows, which makes it that much more hurtful because it's ego now. It can be a very, very damaging situation. So I'll do more videos on this. But until next time, hey, do me a favor. Here, hold on, do me a favor. You see that right there? All you gotta do is just see that thumbs up on the bottom right. Just click that right there. You ain't gotta subscribe. I just appreciate you guys' likes and comments. So until next time, you guys, peace out.